Hey guys, welcome on back to another episode of All Bass Creations, effects, tutorials, demos, and review. So let me get this camera straightened out a bit for y'all here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Of course, we started doing this already, but unfortunately, somehow my computer died on me randomly. But we are back. So, what you were listening to, that first sound you're listening to, where is it? Here. See, all these I've already, so what happened was computer turned off. I did all these sounds live. So I'm not going to go back over the process of making them because that will be available. These will be available in a video preset pack, which means I'll actually do an actual video that you can purchase on Patreon, and you can have all my different settings, So let's get started. Some of the things, we just go ahead and take it from the top, I guess. So let me open my phone up here because I need the manual. So some of the things that I went and changed right off of immediately was the compression, the amount of compression. I took a good amount of that off, you know what I'm saying, to make let the unit actually have more dynamics, because when I went through all the presets, everything sounded really squashed. So went turned the compression down, as well as I changed the tracking from 5-string to 4-string. This stuff I did immediately just because I knew from watching videos what some of the issues people were having were, as well as I think that's it. If you want to change it to stereo, you can do that as well. But I'm not going through every single parameter individually. This is not going to be one of those review videos. They've got enough people doing that. This is going to be an unbiased review, and I'm going to give you the best practices to get the best sounds out of it if you have it. But this is going to be as unbiased of a review as you're going to get on this pedal, because a lot of people, of course, MXR is an amazing company overall, and I don't want to slander them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to not like me either. But you guys are my audience. So, and you guys are the ones that I'm going to be depending on ultimately to help me get where I'm trying to go. So you're the people I ultimately want to cater to and make sure that you get unbiased effects demos, basically, so you don't waste your money. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see on my pedalboard, I also have the MXR bass envelope filter and the MXR layers, two of my other favorite pedals. But this pedal, I will say it had to grow on me. The presets, don't ever judge a synth pedal by the presets. It's not the same as a keyboard. The keyboard has it's just a different thing, right? So, because if I had judged the Future Impact or the Enzo X or C4 synth by just what was put on there initially, I wouldn't have liked those units either. So in order to give this unit a really good chance, I'm not comparing it to anything at the moment. I'm just trying to find usable sounds. So, and one other tip right off of, that you need just immediately, you want to have some sort of, for one, that compression on the unit, it runs at the output. So the synth and all that stuff, all the effects run into that compression. So that's important to note. So coming out of it, like I said, I turn the compression down so I can then run a JHS color box tone model on the ToneX here, and the Atlas Source Audio Atlas compressor. So this is a unit by itself, but I also have the Empress compressor running at a 10-to-1 ratio, so it's really, really compressed signal there. and I have my bass just cut slightly while I'm boosting my high mids on my bass. Not a bad sound by itself, but when you add some flavor to it, it does get better. Now, let's go through a few of the presets that I made on here. The other one was the solo sound. So got that. And I did a couple solo sounds on here. You know me, I'm always every pedal. What pedal you seen me use up here that I haven't shown you how to get to the solo sounds? You know what I'm saying? Or the pads or any other sounds that aren't just the bass sounds. You know, we can never just do the bass sounds. We want these units to be able to do more than that. So designed a few of those. That's a stock preset. This isn't. This I altered from made from the preset. It's tracking. It's not bad. You know, like I said, when you change those parameters, when you first get it, I recommend anybody. I'm playing a 6-string. Definitely change it to the 4-string tracking. You don't. I'm so tired of bass players trying to play octave pedals and synth pedals down here like you playing a regular bass guitar sound. It's not the same thing. And another thing it does, it limits the options on a unit like this. This unit only gives you 3 different voices, you know, to work with. It gives you an octave down, your regular unison pitch, and then it can give you what sounds like an octave up, right? So with that, I appreciate you, Neo, coming through as usual. Yes, sir. You know, I told you I was going to do it. I told you. And now y'all can... Neo has made quite a few of these happen. You know, he had made the Future Impact preset pack and videos happen. So y'all thank him when you get a chance on here. And he started the MXR bass fund and pretty much got me halfway there. So, you know, I definitely appreciate your support. You and the Patreon members have definitely allowed me to be able to consistently come out with product reviews that I don't have to just say, it's amazing. It's amazing. I can actually be honest. And I thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Feel free super chat. But thank you, Neo, so much. As usual, always chiming in, helping out. Thanks, man. Um, so this unit here, like I said, you got to change those features first. You know, again, in case you're just joining us, the features to change. You want to turn the compression down, not off, but down. I have mine probably around 9 o'clock. Um, you know, for each patch, I'm trying to figure out if the gain is stored. It seems like the gain, output gain is stored with the patch potentially. Doesn't say it's not. So hopefully on an individual basis you can store that or the compression. I just pretty much prefer just that little bit of compression on there, and then you adjust the output gain, and turn that tracking to 4-string bass. And then you pretty much good from there. I also turned off the drive-through effects. So I don't want my dry signal going through the effects necessarily. You know, I think, let me see, is that something? Seems like something you'd be able to save with the patch. Hopefully you can save that with the patch. You don't have to have that like that, but in case you want to have like a envelope filter, other stuff. So like I said, I just got this. And it's not difficult to use, but you will need to memorize these secondary functions or always have it up on your phone or something where you can see it. Let's see. You need, so the main side you need is the voice. Once you do those parameters on the shape side of the secondary functions parameters, you don't really have to touch those as much. So you really just need to memorize what the output gain is. And that's pretty much what the main thing on that side is. But on the shape, on the voice side of the secondary parameters, you got the voice mix, noise mix, filter envelope amount, the glide, the amp envelope, and the mod blend between the chorus and the filter's LFO modulation. So with all understanding all, I know it's a lot of technical terms there. But trust and believe, it's not as difficult as it sounds. You know what I'm saying? So I've been able to make these patches. I also altered this. Octave does track really well, you know. Now I will say this again, because I said this when I first started doing this. Do not expect this to be. Don't expect to get this and the presets are going to be your end all be all everything. That is not how you should never spend this much on a pedal time much you want to just do the presets. You wasting your money. You're not getting any functionality out of the unit. In order to get the most functionality out of the unit, you need to learn how to use it. So you're going to either have to menu dive. If you don't, a lot of people don't want to deal with the app. Okay, you don't want to deal with the app. Now you got to memorize 7 extra parameters. And not in addition to knowing what everything is that's labeled on the pedal, you have to memorize these secondary voice functions so you can know how to basically manipulate the pedal properly and actually create sounds. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not a... And that just sounds exactly like the Poly Blue Octave, which I have over here. You know, I got the Poly Blue Octave. It's actually the same size, same layout of knobs and everything. So just very familiar. You know, I'm very familiar with what these sound like. These sound amazing on that lower octave, sub octave. So that's definitely a nice feature, but you know. It's like one of those things for me. Like if you're gonna test drive a car, you going, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to go and rev that engine up. Yeah, it's definitely the. I think that's where a lot of people gonna have issues with memorizing these parameters because I'm gonna have to use the manual on the regular just to even have them on board. But I did find a little picture thing that actually gives me like the parameters in the little picture. Let me see. Let me see what's going on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. So I did find this on there. Hopefully you guys can see that. But it's pretty much a picture of it, and then it's got like the secondary parameters like labeled next to the knobs and stuff. So one thing I do like, you can simply by changing the mix, like, so let me change this mix here. Now we're getting back in the bass territory. Come over here, get in the sub bass territory. So even right from that very sound there, that was a solo sound that I literally just changed the mix and brought in the sub octave, took out the upper harmonies, and now with the same exact setting, like I said before, don't get this expecting this to be able to. It's not a future impact. It's not. In the price range, yes, but it's not. It's not the same thing. I'll give you a quick example. It does track well, does sound good, and you don't have to have an app to edit it. But, you know, and I do realize for some people that's an end-all be-all thing. Just the EQ for this one. Let me get my EQ right. Sorry, guys. But well, right now I got the bass synth running after. So everything on this board is running after all of this stuff. But I mean, if you put it into the Rabbit sitar, it's just probably going to glitch. If I run the Rabbit sitar into it, it's just going to glitch out. If I run the bass synth into the Rabbit sitar, I can probably get some sound, but it ain't going to really be the sound I want, you know. But yeah, they both have. Once you just get familiar with how to create sounds on it, I think you'll have a decent time with it. Definitely got to EQ it just right. Sound I just made. Yeah, I mean, certain little passages, all of them have a little problem with, but so you can get some really good sounds out of it, you know. I mean, I wouldn't say really good because without the enhancements, you know, it definitely goes back to sounding like a toy. Right, goes back to sound like a toy then compared to the future impact. So I wouldn't say it's the same. I'd say it's good quality, decent enough quality sound. It's not as high quality as the future impact or as flexible. That's the future impact. So yeah, they both. I would say if you're really one of those people that's really super set on not being able to use a computer or apps or whatever the case, and you're not really. I can't even say that much because it's just visually for me it's easier to see the app than it is to try to memorize the parameters on the pedal. You know, because say I don't build a sound for a while, I gotta pull the picture back up or pull the menu back up. I mean the not the menu, the manual. Got to pull the manual back up and do all of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, it can become cumbersome trying to even do some of the secondary functions. Like while you're playing, you know, you got to press and hold and try to adjust with your, you know, if you try to do it with one hand, if you got to doing it with two hands is a little cumbersome as well. So, you know, yes, you're not having to use an app, but you're going to need to use your memory like a mug. You're going to need to know them secondary functions if you want to be able to build sounds and properly manipulate the unit. Because like I said, those presets are not, the presets to me make it sound like a toy. You know, it took me a while to get to these usable bass synth type sounds. Right, I had to kind of learn how to use the pedal. But it doesn't sound bad at all, like I said, you know. When you add some like little enhancements, like I said, you throw a color box on there, and I got on the source audio on 1176 running into a LA2A, so a good amount of saturation there. You know, saturation from the color box, tone model on there as well, and EQ, and it gives, you know. And it tracks reasonably well. You know what I'm saying? So even getting to different sounds. So like pretty much if you want to isolate the if you want to be able to isolate the oscillators on here, you got to use the mix knobs. So say I'm gonna take the sub all the way out. If I want just the upper octave voice, I have to change that mix. Then if I want to add in the unison, like where my actual bass is making the pitch, I just adjust this. Well, no, not that. I just adjust the mix. Then I usually mix in the sub octave, or I go all the way sub octave. Just throwing away sounds here, like this. That only like my biggest beef with this pedal is going to be those 8 presets. And that's my biggest beef because I'm the type that likes to make sounds, make a bunch of sounds. Especially when I first get a pedal, I try to make as many sounds while I'm really inspired by the pedal. And then when I go back to the pedal, I can scroll through a lot of these presets and I don't have to try to get inspired. I can be inspired by the sounds that are already made, you know. All right, Neo, I'll catch you, bro. Be safe out there. But yeah, like, you know, you just got to kind of know how to balance those oscillators. So I would say start with the original oscillator by itself. this. Let's go ahead and get some volume on that. You can override the presets. It only gives you 8 presets though. What's going on? Appreciate you chiming in. You definitely can overwrite the presets. All these are my presets that you've been listening to. I wasn't going through those stock presets because it's too many videos with those. And to be honest, I don't think the stock presets sound that great. That's just me. You know, I'd much rather have sounds like this. And then I can, from there, I would say even that sound, the pedal just tracks better up an octave, like above your 12th fret. So I go a lot of times I go up an octave and I'll use my unison pitch as the upper oscillator sound while still having the sub as the main sound. So this is the sub. Let me bring this down some here. Right, got that there. And then you just kind of mix them. Play with that resonance. So, you know, playing with those oscillator levels and which oscillators you're using or not using at the time. Like I said, I can come up here and let's see which one. Yep, this one. I can come up here and I'm gonna switch it to an octave up and an octave down. And this is, like I said, something you don't want to try to do this when you're playing down. This is why I don't play down here at all with synth pedals. It just, no synth pedal really sounds good down here like that. None of them. Yes, you can play them. Future Impact, Enzo X, Bass Synth, C4, you can. It just, they track better up an octave. Just like octave pedal rather. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Empress compressor is running before the MXR bass synth. So it's literally running a 10-to-1 ratio on it, heavy compression. Without this, how my excuse me. So, you know, depending on what you're doing, you know, I wouldn't get this thinking that you're going to be recreating the ARP 2600 sounds. You're not. Or with the Moog sounds, you're not. Future Impact is going to get you all those vintage bass synth sounds compared to This, if you for me, you fare a lot better with this MXR bass synth as its own thing, not trying to make it sound like another synth, but using the sound to create an actual sound out your head that works with the unit. But it's going to be hard for you to chase down sounds with this unit because of the limited parameters. You know, it doesn't have an app, things like that, compared to the Future Impact V4 VIP. You see, they're not too far off with size either. You're going to be able to get 100 preset slots, right? So you got up to 100 slots. And you got 4 oscillators, right? And each of those oscillators can have up to 3 different waveforms you can combine together to create one oscillator each. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope. You get 2 filters. You get a bandwidth filter. You get different types of filters, high pass, low pass, all that stuff to create your different sounds. And you get full ADSR for the amplitude and the filter. So for the sound, the oscillators and the filter, you know, you got your LFO built in for all that stuff on the Future Impact. So it's just like it's hard. It's a hard but the Future Impact does have a significantly bigger learning curve. But I think by the time you get through that learning curve, you know more. And once you know more, it's kind of hard to just be limited to just, you know, essentially 6 parameters for a synth, you know what I'm saying? But doesn't mean you can't get good usable sounds. Definitely got usable sounds. That's a stock sound. You notice my sounds always have a little bit more bigger of a sound. Yeah, the MIDI out on the Future Impact literally puts it above everybody else in the bass synth. You know what I'm saying? The same way the Enzo X, the poly mode, and all the reverbs and everything else are such high quality in there, and the tracking's really good as well. You know, puts it above everybody else in that on that side of the game. So so let's do this. I'll say it's better than the C4 synth, but not as good as the Future Impact V4 VIP. And that's just my honest opinion, you know. It is good. You know, sounds relatively decent, but still needs a little help. You know, like Future Impact, you can still play that with a keyboard, but it also has like built-in EQ, delay, you know, overdrive, things like that really make it a step above, you know, in the finishing your sound department as well. So it's literally not just creating a sound, you got to finish it. So the Future Impact is like an all-in-one keyboard unit for real, that sounds really good, you know, by itself. The bass synth, you're going to need some EQ and you're going to need some limiting and compression on it, you know what I'm saying, as well. And that'll give you a better time. But overall, I think it's a solid unit. You know, I'm not going to rate it because I don't usually rate pedals anyway. So what would that even really mean for me? But I will say that it's hard for me to recommend it over the Future Impact. But we're going to do a comparison video later between all 4 synth pedals here. The MXR bass synth, Future Impact V4, VIP, C4 synth, and the Enzo X. So if you haven't already, hit that like button And if you want to catch the live later, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys later. I'm gonna go and I got a few things I gotta run and do, but yeah, my first impressions and my first review of this pedal is it's a decent pedal. Is it going like, I mean, pretty much everybody has said this. It's not going to replace a keyboard. You know, it's not going to replace a keybase rig. Like, the future Impact will replace a keyboard rig. I can tell you that now. So we'll talk about it some more later. But thank you guys for watching another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. I am the Bass Negus. Make sure you check out my Patreon for all my presets and preset packs for all the pedals, different pedals you see here. And we'll be back later. Thanks for hanging with me. Peace.